I'm extremely sorry. Just totally forgot to record this session. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
And for the technical questions, I am sticking to my whatever knowledge I have till. I am
Yeah.
getting some notes from Studio Binder YouTube channel for the technical questions and learning from that.
Okay.
And
Good. Okay. Akhilesh, what about you? Quickly.
Yes, sir, same only. I am working on the previous, I am watching the previous year classes, working on the MCQs and all.
Okay. Okay. So let's begin. Let's begin. Okay. Akhilesh, yeah. Just read the question for all of us once, and then
Okay, sir.
we'll begin. Yeah. Go ahead.
One day, all the watches and clocks go on a strike in India. Write the synopsis of the story for a feature film length 2 hours in 500 words based on a surrealistic theme. Akansha, a girl, 25-year-old, uh, living living a busy and hectic life in Bangalore, uh, working in a corporate office. She is a workaholic person who always wanted to keep on working and is good at her work. Even though she lives in Bangalore, she does not go out with anyone for parties or hanging out.
Sunna, wait, hold on, hold on,
Okay.
hold on, hold on, hold on.
Okay, sir.
Hold on. To switch off your camera, I think, because you're getting stuck.
Okay. Am I audible now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Her mother keeps her calling every day, but most of the time she doesn't answer the call. Even if she attends the call, she doesn't talk too much to her as she has work to do. She doesn't have much friends because of such nature. She always keeps everything organized and wants to do things under a timetable. Suddenly, one day, Akansha wakes up from her sleep, hearing the noise and chaos outside her apartment. When Akansha steps out of her apartment, she sees a huge panic crowd in front of clock tower. When she looks at the clock tower, there was no clock to be seen. A panic Akansha turns on her mobile and sees there is no time on the display panel of the phone. The lifestyle of the people started to disrupt because of the schedule. Uh, because of this, schedules, meetings, appointments, all were getting cancelled. People's sleeps were getting affected because of this. Daily routine of the people were getting affected because of the phenomena, as people did not know what to do at what time. Even the 2023 World Cup, which was supposed to happen in India, got cancelled, which caused a deep fall in the economy. Akansha, now a person dealing with depression and anxiety because of this phenomena, meets an old man one day who is leading a calm and happy life in this chaos. The old man made her realize that time was a thing that no one respected and that doesn't stop for anyone. But this phenomena is giving every person a second chance to undo every mistake they have done and to live a calm and peaceful life. Akansha learns from her mistakes, understand what she was about to lose in her life, makes new friends, and keeps healthy relationship with others. She started calling her mother and started spending time with her. As people started to change and started to respect the time, time came back to life. Time came back to life of every people.
Okay, nice. Okay, just give me a second. Let me go through one paragraph.
Okay, sir.
Akanksha, now a person living with depression and anxiety. So it's not good. It's an old person. And we're going to say okay. ठीक है देखो in the face of it, Akhilesh,
Yes, sir.
see, I think this is one thing that you did not do even yesterday. just go through your answer once, even when you're submitting your paper, keep some 15 minutes spare,
Okay.
with you just to revise your answer, because there are several spelling mistakes. Not that spelling mistakes are going to create a problem, but it creates a different kind of problem. It makes me feel it makes me reread,
Yeah, I understand.
that's an indirect problem, but it's a problem. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So just spare some time, 10 minutes, for those
Okay, sir.
subjective questions, and even for the MCQs. कि हो सकता है गलती से you have picked a wrong answer. You knew the right answer, but you picked the wrong answer. So all these mistakes do happen. All of us under that kind of immense pressure that we are going through. Keep that spare 10 15 minutes. If at all there is a mistake, you are able to correct the mistake. Okay.
Okay, sir.
But as far as the answer is concerned, now one thing before we go ahead, it says one day all the watching clubs go on strike in India. Okay. Go on strike से मतलब ये नहीं कहा तुमने कि गायब हो गया.
हाँ.
ठीक है, मतलब वो भी कर सकते हो, बट गो ऑन स्ट्राइक से मतलब टेक्निकली मेरे हिसाब से ये था कि they all got stuck wherever they were. If it was
Okay.
8
So it was written in a surrealistic theme. So that's why
fair enough.
I used that kind of approach. So it
Fair,
becomes much surrealistic if there is no time to be seen.
fair enough. ठीक है, वो भी चलेगा. Second part of the question is write the synopsis of a story for a feature length film. Now, yesterday on the first day, we discussed what is a synopsis. Okay. Synopsis is just not just you've written the story.
Yeah.
That's not a synopsis.
Um,
It's a summary of your story. It's not a synopsis. Synopsis का definition क्या है? What is synopsis?
So synopsis means it's like uh,
Okay, let me help you. Let me help you.
okay, sir.
Let- Synopsis is not the story. Synopsis is not the summary of the story, which you have. Synopsis is an idea of the story plus why this compulsion for you to make a feature length film out of this, plus certain other details or certain other facts, let's say, how such films or such stories have done in the past. That becomes the synopsis and the philosophy of your film. The idea, the philosophy of the idea. Why this idea? Where did this idea come from? What is this idea? Not the summary of the story. So what you have written is just part of the answer. If it's a 15 marks question, although 15 नंबर का शायद नहीं आता है, 20 और 10 आएगा. बट अगर मान लो 15 है और 5 का डिवीजन, 5 marks for the summary of the story, 5 marks for the philosophy of the story, the idea, why this idea, and the 5 marks for the compulsion. Why do you want to make this film? Your synopsis का function क्या है? To pitch a prospective producer or a financer, right?
Yes,
So,
sir.
so the producer or the financer needs to know all these answers, but while you have just provided one answer, one part of the answer. So I'll possibly give you 6 numbers, 6 out of 50, or 5 out of 10. So it doesn't work fully completely. It's not a complete picture of the film. Complete picture, matlab, in 500 words, the idea plus the reason why this idea or the roots, where is it coming from, plus that compulsion, plus how has similar or a story, fared in the past, or what's happening with the audience, why you want to present the audience with this story right now, what is the reason. So all that makes the synopsis. Okay? So
Okay, sir.
it's not a correct answer. It's not a full-fledged answer.
Okay.
Be careful, guys. Be careful with you must read the question again and again, at least twice. 2 बार कम से कम पढ़ना चाहिए क्वेश्चन. Okay. क्योंकि एक बार में हम मोस्ट लाइकली मिस कर जाएंगे उसका एक्चुअल इंटेंट क्या है क्वेश्चन का. What is the actual intent of the question? What is the intention of the examiner? You know, what is he trying to ask you from that question? What exactly? That we just because we are also playing under pressure, है ना. 2 घंटे का प्रेशर चल रहा है, एग्जाम का प्रेशर है, ये है वो, करियर का प्रेशर, दुनिया जान की चीजें चल रही है. उसमें हम मोस्ट लाइकली मिसरीड कर सकते हैं क्वेश्चन. So read the question again and again till you are satisfied with what exactly is the question. And then design your answer before you jump into writing the answer. Once when all this is done, then you step into writing the answer. Am I clear, people?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's move on to the next one. A third.
Samay Mehta, the owner of largest watch companies in India, received letter from the two kings of clock communities, wall clock community king Diwa Raja and wristwatch community king Kalai Raja. The letter from Diwa Raja demands honor and respect from the mankind as they are being valued.
सुन ना सा अथर्व, एक मिनट, just एक बार फिर से शुरू करना. I'm sorry.
Samay Mehta, the owner of largest watch companies in India, receives letters from the two kings of clock communities, wall clock community king Diwa Raja and wristwatch community king Kalai Raja.
Wow.
The letter from Diwa Raja demands honor and respect from the mankind as they are being valued less as compared to the wristwatches in recent years. The letter states the the letter states till the demands are being accepted, Indian wall clocks will be on the strike. The second letter from Kalai Raja demands not to accept the Deva Raja's demands as wall clocks were always valued more since the invention of clock kind. Pendulum clocks, chest clocks, Godfather clocks were the one who ruled the clock kind, and it is in the recent years that wristwatches have gained their place in hierarchy. The letter states wristwatch will also be on strike till the hierarchy is confirmed. Strike of clocks has created laziness in the people of India as they are not following the work timing, and this has also affected sectors like stock market and time-bound community, competitive sports, etc. Samay Mehta is told to present the clock communities demands in in front of the government. Prior to this, the government forms a special mediation committee for resolving the dispute between both the groups. Government proposes an equal valuation treaty before both the groups and demands to quickly resolve the issue as the ongoing strike is affecting the country's economic growth drastically as the watches from the other nations are not on strike. Deva Raja and Kalai Raja signs the agreement of equal valuation. All things go back to normal time.
Okay, nice, interesting, very interesting. Because it's a very fresh take that we take. Okay, but again, the same mistake that Akhilesh did. Now, the question was to write a synopsis, not a
Yeah.
summary of the story, right?
Yes, sir.
समझ में आया बात?
हाँ,
Synopsis में summary of the story is just one part of the synopsis.
वो इंटेंशन रह गया मेरा.
Intention, तुम्हारा रीजन क्यों
हम्म,
बनाना चाहते हो भाई ये फिल्म, क्या तुम्हारा क्या थॉट क्या है इसके पीछे, ऐसा कि यही फिल्म क्यों बनाना चाहते हो, ऐसा सरियल फिल्म क्या रीजन, ऐसा क्या तुमको अंदर से कंपल्शन आ गया, दैट बिकम्स इम्पोर्टेंट. एंड कि और बाकी इस तरह के सरियल फिल्म्स जो रिसेंटली अगर पूछ लिया तो उन्होंने कैसा, वो उनका कैसा, हाउ हैव दे फेयर्ड, यू नो.
yes.
ठीक है, लेट्स गो टू द नेक्स्ट वन. श्रुति सिंह,
Yeah.
are you there? I can't hear you, Shruti.
No, am I audible?
Yeah, now you are.
Okay. Gogia of time. Clocks are typically known for their dependability in telling time, which is now rendered useless in this post-war apocalyptic world. After a brutal and incomprehensible war that lasted for 45 years, on 31st January 2046, the world is surmounted by this omnipresent immortality. There is no hope, people are filled with anguish, frustration, and meaninglessness. The surroundings are filled with the dead bodies of loved ones. Two-thirds of the population has vanished into nothingness due to this brutal war. The war occurred due to this overwhelming anxiety about time and the future that humanity as a whole is progressing towards. There will be environmental disasters, moral decline, extreme ideological brutalities, and then the ultimate war. To prevent the slow decline of the civilization and an ultimate end, the world leaders in a conference of SDGI decided to declare war and put an end to everything. This was the impetus for this disaster, which lasted for 45 years until Mr. Satyajit Prakash, the President of India, proposed an alternative to remove clocks and the concept of time from the world for a day. The war ended everything, even time. There will be no more war, no more death, but for one day. Harry, 52, understood the gravity of this opportunity. This is an opportunity for him to live fully in the end. He spent his life till then wasting time, not acting upon impulses, never pursuing his dreams, or even taking the courage to experiment with life to find his passion. Noora, his mother, who raised him alone, never wanted Harry to take risks in life. As her life unfolded in losing everything she had due to taking that risk she took in going with her entire family on that cruise trip to Thailand, which drowned. Noora was the only survivor with Harry. Noora developed this mental paranoia condition after this horrific incident, where she feared everything. Harry, after surviving this great war, found himself alive for this one day to live his life and embarked on this journey to design this day of no clocks, of no past, and of no future. Harry wakes up from this horrific dream and, still 52, finds himself at the start of the road to start his life again. To do all the things he could have done, he found his new vitality to live life.
Okay, I'm a little confused. I'm a little confused. Give me 2 minutes. Okay. Pehले तो ये क्या है? SDGI, what is this? Just a fictitious name, or is
Yeah,
this
it's
something?
just a world organization, something fictitious, like NATO or something.
Acha, no, no. See, these are the things that sudden. अब वो SDGI आया तो मेरे को लगा रही मैंने क्या मिस कर दिया भाई, क्या क्या ऊपर क्या चला गया मुझे पता ही नहीं। No. मतलब fictitious है, मैं मान रहा हूँ,
Hmm.
but okay, just give me a second. Clocks after what last I lost it again. On 31st, the world is surrounded by something. There's no hope. People are filled with anticipation. People are talking the world is due to the door guided for time and future. Okay. Maybe when the story declines, they said declare war. मेरे को नहीं समझ में आया ऑनेस्टली। मतलब ये बहुत कॉम्प्लिकेटेड, बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स कुछ तो लिखा तुमने, ठीक है।
Yeah.
एंड तो देखो अभी see, it was a fun question. It was one question where, and then the other problem is कि चलो ठीक है, ये तो कॉम्प्लेक्स है, यहाँ तक कॉम्प्लेक्स तुम्हारा सब कुछ ठीक है, और तुम आप कॉन्सेप्ट पे तुम डिस्क्राइब कर रहे हो, सब कुछ कर रहे हो, एंड देन सडनली यहाँ से एक तो फिक्शन कुछ शुरू हो जाता है, जो जो मैं समझ सकता हूँ, लेकिन अब मुझे समझ तो सकता हूँ, लेकिन अब मेरे को इसमें इस पार्ट में और इस पार्ट में कोई रिलेशन नहीं दिख रहा। आई कांट रियली मेक आउट any relationship between this first two paragraphs and the next two paragraphs. I just can't make. I don't know. So suddenly it seemed कि ये अब हैरी कौन है, और ये कहाँ से आ गया, ये हैरी 52, ये इसका तो कहीं मेंशन, तो चलो ठीक है, वो भी आ सकता है धीरे धीरे। I realize कि this may happen. So possibly यहाँ पे instead of starting straight away with Harry understood the gravity of this opportunity, you could have begun the sentence, connecting the two paragraphs. For example, ये याद खत्म हुआ, and then you could have started with कि this war gave respite to many people. One of them was Harry. तो फिर I could connect कि अच्छा what is जो ऊपर तूने बोला, और फिर सेकंड जो तुमने यहाँ से पैराग्राफ शुरू किया है, अभी सडनली ये आ गया, तो मैं कंफ्यूज हो गया, अरे भाई अब एक और कुछ नया आ गया है। तो ये ना एक्सपेक्ट, ये उसमें भी इतना सारा अनवांटेड डिटेल है। अब ये losing everything she had due to taking that risk she took in going with her entire family on the cruise trip to Thailand. अभी क्रूज ट्रिप टू थाईलैंड जो है, ये अलग एक नया चैप्टर खोल दे रहा है। सो आई एम एवरी अदर लाइन विच इज एडिंग टू माई कंफ्यूजन कि now what is this, what cruise trip to Thailand, did I miss something here?
Yeah. So can I discuss my problem while answering this question?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. It started for me with like very interesting concept. Like I love the concept of time and clocks, how that is
Hmm.
physics, philosophy. I just was confused, got stuck in the philosophical idea of time. And after I did this whole thing, then I couldn't invent any character to fit in this philosophical concept and of time and the world I created.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I'm just like stuck there to how to invent characters and how to put them into this philosophical thing which I'm creating. And
हाँ
I
मतलब ये
started with a very complicated subject,
Hmm.
and
No,
also I started
I get your
writing.
point. I get your point. You took a very different stance, actually. You took, although this question does not really intend to make it go philosophical or anything about time. It's simple. It's actually a fun question. It expects some fun writing, some humor out of your writer. It is simply targeting humor, in your, in your presentation. It is not about the concept of time. You have to understand that question. All the watches and clocks go on strike in India. Had it been on the concept of time, the question would have been phrased differently. Then it would have been possibly कि the idea of time and ये हो गए, कुछ ऐसे words होते हैं जिससे तुमको समझ में आता है कि अरे this is actually not about fun, this is not about interesting plot, this is rather about the philosophy of time. So तो ये वैसा हो जाता है। So you have to be careful when you're reading. I know one tends to get swayed away with heavy philosophical elements, but no, FTI में your ideas, see, you have to be very smart right now. You have to be smart, जो एग्जामिनर पढ़ रहा है उसको तुमको कंफ्यूज नहीं करना अपना राइटर, उसको तुमको हंसा देना, उसके चेहरे पे अगर एक स्माइल आ गया, you have done your job. You have fetched all that required mark. You have to make him smile. That is the idea. You have to play it smart. ये तुम्हारा यहाँ पे इस क्वेश्चन से तुम्हारा अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ टाइम का इंटेंडेड है ही नहीं। You understand, how in-depth understanding do you have on philosophical concepts? That is not a question. Not at all. It's a simple question where you get a chance to create this fictitious space and characters and elements using this very, very absurd or very surreal phenomenon where the time has just suddenly gotten stuck. That's it. They have declared a strike and they are stuck, physically stuck. Okay. Possibly, needles are stuck. Your phone is not reflecting any further digits. It's stuck with wherever they were. 9:16 हुए हैं और 9:16 में अटक गई है ये चीज। तो वो आइडिया था अब उसमें फन और कॉम्प्लिकेशंस और जो भी हो रहा है वो कर सकते हो, और बट उसमें कोई रीजन भी नहीं दिया कि कोई किस लिए स्टक हो गया, फोन स्ट्राइक किस लिए स्ट्राइक हो गया। One day all the watches and clocks go on strike. Is it that all the clocks decided one day, let's have some fun with human beings? and they decide to just let's fool around with men and women on Earth, and let's strike for some time. वो उनका पर्सपेक्टिव से भी देख सकते थे, जैसे इसने अथर्व ने एक इंटरेस्टिंग सा टेक लिया था कि भैया वो कलाई राजा और वो क्या कहते हैं दीवार राजा, वो ऐसा कुछ टर्म्स यूज कर दिया कि मेरे को मजा भी आ गया, कॉन्सेप्ट बहुत इजीली समझ में भी आया मुझे। चलो ये फन वाला, इसने फन वाला टेक लिया। तो you have to be you have to understand कि don't make your answers serious, period, absolutely, period, until the question is strictly demanding a very serious answer. Don't make your be light on your answer, be simple on your answer. You have to understand this thing. And same mistake with you also. It's not the question is not about a summary of a story. That you just presses writing करते थे कि बड़े फिल्म के स्टोरी को छोटा कर दिया। No, it's clearly asking कि ये फन वाला एक सिचुएशन है और इस टॉपिक पे तुमने फिल्म बनाना है, उसका सिनॉप्सिस दे। सिनॉप्सिस का आइडिया ऑफ सिनॉप्सिस क्या है पहले वो समझना पड़ेगा। फंक्शन क्या है सिनॉप्सिस का, क्या काम करता है सिनॉप्सिस। इट रिप्रेजेंट्स यू, इट रिप्रेजेंट्स यू where you are not physically possibly available, and hence it should have all those things which a producer is expecting of you or a financier is expecting. What is the summary of the film? Why do you want to make this film so desperately? What is the reason why ऐसा क्या है? Why this film, why not something else? So that idea, and of course a little bit of philosophical input here. Where is where is your thought rooted somewhere, or possibly it's just the same and repeating myself again. But इतना ये सब कुछ मिला करके जो होगा, that will be the summary of the so that will be the answer. Is it is it is it clear?
Yeah,
Shruti?
sure, got it. Yeah.
अच्छा एक और चीज आई जस्ट वांट, हालांकि इट्स इनकॉन्सिक्वेंशियल, इट्स अ वेरी नेग्लिजिबल प्रॉब्लम, बट आई फेल्ट अगेन आई गॉट, or it could be a very personal thing. I'm a little finicky about the names of the characters. Okay, now you named Harry 52. Okay, so he suddenly gave me an image of a European guy named somebody who is not who's English. तो Harry है most likely वो हरविंदर सिंह वाला हैरी तो नहीं है। Okay, मुझे लगा हैरी है तो ठीक है चलो, एंड देन सडनली उसकी माँ है जिसका नाम नूरा है। अब वो मेरे को थोड़ा सा झटका दे दिया वहां पे। हाँ ऐसा नहीं है कि ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है, डेफिनेटली हो सकता है, हैरी हो सकता है और उसकी माँ का नाम नूरा हो सकता है, ठीक है, डेफिनेटली हो सकता है, बट अगेन द आइडिया इज नॉट टू कॉम्प्लिकेट मैटर्स फॉर द रीडर एट एनी कॉस्ट, वेयर यू कैन अवॉइड, so avoid introducing unnecessary plot points and unnecessary twists. अभी ये हैरी 52 से लेकर के लास्ट लाइन जो है एंड नो फ्यूचर एंड ऑफ नो ब्यूटी, ये पूरे चंक में क्या होता है मुझे कुछ समझ नहीं है। वो थाईलैंड भी घुमाए, उन्होंने कुछ और भी कर दिया, ये सब भी हो गया। अब वो इतना ऊपर से हैरी और नूरा, मेरे को तो बहुत यहाँ पर कुछ नहीं पक गया। So make it simple. Again, I'm repeating this for all of you. Make your presentation simple, without compromising on your creative inputs, without compromising on your imagination. Okay, make it simple. Don't make it too complex. Don't make me make the examiner go back again, go through the lines, believing that he possibly has missed out on something. Don't make him do that, because then he will punish you. Okay, so ठीक है, आगे बढ़ते हैं। कोई क्वेश्चन है? श्रुति कोई क्वेश्चन?
No, sure.
ठीक है, ओके। ऋषभ,
Hi, sir.
हाय ऋषभ,
Uh,
गो अहेड।
One day, all the watches and the clocks in India suddenly stopped working. People tried changing batteries, watch manufacturers got called in. No one could understand what the reason is. Then, a day later, Supreme Court of India receives a petition by the Clocks and Watches of India. They wanted a trial against the people of India. The petition was filed by Aman, a small shop watchmaker from Jaipur, Rajasthan. The media goes haywire upon hearing this. Hundreds of journalists circle the house of the watchmaker, wanting to know the clock's demands. The 50-year-old watchmaker who lived by himself got panicked seeing all this. Suddenly, the National Guard walks into his home. They tell him about his life being in danger and he needs to be shifted to a safe house. In the safe house, Aman is interrogated vigorously. Aman demands a law for a lawyer, adds that it better be a government prosecutor since he can't afford one by himself. The government sanctions his request. They assign Mr. Gautam, a man in his early 40s, a typical government prosecutor, Hindi speaking, jolly, sharp witted. Aman and Mr. Gautam hit it off instantly. When Gautam inquires about how the clocks communicate and what are their demands, Aman mentions it to be a very secretive way, and it's difficult to decipher. He adds that he probably thinks we that uh, we took time for granted, and perhaps also because we complain about not having any time, is the reason why clocks decided to go on strike. As he had guessed, Gautam realizes that Aman may not really have any idea about anything as to why the clocks really stopped working. Yet Gautam suggests Aman to keep on communicating more and more and try and get whatever information he can. Days turned into weeks. What first felt like a joke now had become a reality. People have no idea what time is it. It had started to affect people's lives severely. Nobody really came on time or off time. Stock markets were started randomly looking at the sun. Factory workers run free. They weren't any school punishments to come late to school. People running businesses suffered heavily. While their employees never had felt so relaxed, some were running into panic attacks. Others had never enjoyed such peace of being unbound before.
Very nice.
As the date for the first trial came, the court was being broadcasted throughout the nation on national TV. Mr. Gautam, who had purposely come in late after the court began, before the court began, apologizes about how he had no idea what time is it. He then smartly lays out the clocks feel ungrateful, used, and are tired of hearing us complain about time all the time. He mentions we've heard their feelings bad. The clocks have decided they shall end their strike when their needs are met. As the hearing comes to an end, the judge requests people of country to meet the request of the clock community. Suddenly, Aman, holding his watch in his hand, adds in and tells Gautam aloud, "The clocks have decided to give us a chance, and they shall start working tonight midnight. Only if we carefully adhere to their request." And as Aman had said, the clocks start working by midnight.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice. क्योंकि एक फ्लो में पूरा कहानी मेरे को समझ में आ गया, कोई कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी नहीं है, कहीं कुछ नहीं, प्रॉब्लम, मजा आया. Except कि again, it's just a part of the answer.
Yes.
You know the idea कि why, जो पहले भी मैंने बोला कि the idea, the philosophy of this idea, why do you want to make this idea? Why do
Yes.
all that information also should be a part of this entire presentation. That should not be more than maybe 10% of the write-up.
Yes.
The rest 80 to 85% should be the story, the summary of the story. But 10-15% should be that. That would be the synopsis.
Philosophy and why I want to do this. Thank you.
Because that is the synopsis. And the question is very clear. See, these are very trick questions, if you understand. नहीं तो बोलता कि write a scene. Write a scene नहीं बोला, write the synopsis बोला of a story, of a feature length film. नहीं तो बोलता कि भैया अब ये situation है, one day all the clock falls right, now write a scene. तो फिर ये correct था. तो फिर तुम तीनों के चारों के जो भी हमने अभी तक पढ़ा, वो सब correct जा रहे थे, अगर वो सिर्फ scene बोलते थे.
Scene or summary, sir?
Scene बोलते या summary बोलते तो.
Okay.
Scene भी बोलते तो correct था.
Okay.
सीन में भी कोई इशू नहीं है, वो सीन स्टोरी के रूप में आ सकता है.
Okay.
सीन में बस ये है कि वो डिफाइंड टाइम होता है, बहुत डिफाइंड स्पेस होता है, और डायलॉग्स होते हैं. ठीक है, और डायलॉग्स कम होना कंपलसरी नहीं होता है. ठीक है, बट उन्होंने सीन मांगा ही नहीं सिनॉप्सिस को. ठीक है, तो आगे बढ़ते हैं. अंशुल,
Hello, sir.
I'm sure.
Should I start?
Yes, please.
Set in the present, Mumbai. Abdul, a man in his 40s, runs a watch repair shop in the fort area of Mumbai with a clear view of the Rajabai clock tower. One day, after repairing a watch, he looks at the tower to corroborate the time and finds out the clock has stopped. Very soon, people arrive in hordes to ask him why the time on their watches and phones has stopped moving. All the mechanisms and parts of the watches he checks work fine, and yet their hands don't move. It's absurd, as if time has grown a consciousness of its own and is protesting against mankind for having exploited it. Unable to fix the watches, Abdul goes for a walk. The world continues to function normally. In fact, life seems to have gotten slower. There aren't any crowds of people or jams of traffic on the road. The cacophony of car horns and human shouting he has grown so used to has ceased to exist. He tries to check the news on his phone, but the internet doesn't work. The sun sets, the clouds move, the dogs bark, the natural rhythms of the world are still intact. But the peace disturbs him, and he goes home. A garlanded frame of his family hangs on the wall above his bed, on which he sleeps snoring. Abdul is walking on the way to his shop, and a clock falls down from the sky in front of him. He looks around, and there are clocks falling everywhere, dismantling into numbers and lines that fall to the ground. He sees his parents in the distance, standing in the middle of the road unprotected. He runs to save them from these falling clocks which crush everything they land on, but as soon as he reaches them, they melt away. Everything has started melting as he looks around the buildings, the roads, even the sky. He looks down as the path he is standing on melts as well, and he falls. Abdul wakes up sweating. He packs a bag of clothes and leaves his house. He waits at a bus stop. There are other people there too. He asks them if they know what time the bus is coming, and immediately realizes how stupid that question was. They are all waiting there in hope. A bus does come, and it takes him to his village. There he meets his father and mother at home. They go for a walk by the river behind their house and talk about the trees, the wind, the birds, and blooming flowers. Fish swim in the river, dogs and cats accompany them on their walk. He feeds the cows on their farm and waters the crops. They come home and eat together. His parents nap on the cots after lunch while he sits under a tree. An apple falls on his head, and an awareness overcomes him, and awareness of the moment, where time flows like the river and the wind.
Just give me a second. ओके, ठीक है। अम, अच्छा, इंटरेस्टिंग है। अपार्ट फ्रॉम द सेम मिस्टेक जो बाकी के साथ भी है, आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू रिपीट।
I was actually confused about that because I think all of us have done this because all of us think that synopsis means a brief summary because like everywhere you check
नो,
everything we've learned and
नो,
everything
अब
knowledge says is a synopsis is like a brief summary. That is why I think all of us have.
नो, नो, that's a very generic issue actually with submissions. If you start submitting your film, your pitch to people or to festivals, or to other platforms, you will realize that synopsis is just not the summary. It's just not just the summary. It's a little more than the summary. Okay. हम कर देते हैं वो, फिर तो तुम बोलोगे कि सर सिनेमैटिक ट्रीटमेंट भी तो वही है, वो भी तो समरी है एक तरह से।
नहीं सिनेमैटिक ट्रीटमेंट में तो मतलब उसका सिनेमैटिक टेक्निक्स और विजुअल साउंड.
नहीं नहीं, वो भी गलत है। वो जो मैंने पहले दिन ही बताया था कि ये तो फर्स्ट हैंड इंफॉर्मेशन दे रहा हूँ तुमको। मैं तो डेफिनेशन मांगा था भाई कि व्हाट यू मीन बाय ट्रीटमेंट। हाँ, क्योंकि ट्रीटमेंट से हम अज्यूम करते हैं कि ट्रीटमेंट से वो या लाइटिंग क्या होगा, है, और तुम्हारा मूड क्या होगा, कलर क्या, पैलेट क्या होगा, है ना। तो ये तो यही हम एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं, लेकिन उनका जवाब आया था मेरे को कि भैया सिनेमैटिक हम रुको चाह रहे हैं या आप सीन बाय सीन छोटे छोटे सीन्स को समराइज करके एक के बाद एक तो उसका फ्लो को मेंटेन रखते हुए आप हम लोग वो जो भी 10 पन्ने का ट्रीटमेंट बना के दीजिए। और वो जो ट्रीटमेंट बना के देंगे तो ऑब्वियसली उसमें मेंशंस रहेगा ही हमारा ये सारी चीजें कि लाइट्स क्या होती है, लाइटिंग क्या है, उसका कंडीशंस तुमने क्या पिक किया है, तुमने मूड कैसे किया है, तुमने पैलेट कैसे किया है, प्रोडक्शन डिजाइन कैसे हेल्प कर रहा है तुम्हारे कैमरामैन को अचीव करने में, वो सारी चीजें उसमें ऑलरेडी ऑब्वियसली मेंशन। So that becomes the people. So these are very थोड़ा सा ट्विस्टेड है, यू नो, जो जनरल अंडरस्टैंडिंग उससे थोड़ा सा ट्विस्टेड है। So again, synopsis is just not the summary. Okay, उसमें it almost 10% of the content should be dedicated to your understanding, your understanding of the story, your take on the story. Then why, what is that compulsion of you so madly to make this story?
Sir, would you have any like example of such a synopsis? Because all the examples I could find have been summaries only, which is the reference I've been using to write mine as well.
मैं कहाँ से एग्जाम्पल शेयर करूँ?
Mm.
See, what I'm trying to suggest is not to give away this. Whatever you've written is okay. You have to add certain things to it. That would be the synopsis. Otherwise, it is a summary. It is in simple definition सही है। तुम synopsis का definition देखो क्या है।
The definition of synopsis is a brief summary of the story, including characters, plot points, conflict, वगैरह वगैरह. That is the definition of a synopsis.
देखो, let me know if it's like that. That is the definition of synopsis. You're right. A brief summary of the major points of a written work, either as a prose or as a table, an abridgment or condensation of the work. But when you're talking of synopsis of a film, देखो उसका फंक्शन समझना होगा। उसका फंक्शन बहुत क्रिटिकल होता है। फंक्शन सिनॉप्सिस का क्या है? इट इज रिप्रेजेंटिंग एट अ प्लेस वेयर यू कैन नॉट फिजिकली बी अवेलेबल। It is representing you as in it is supposed to answer all those questions. Yes, Arman, you have a point.
So specific doubt. Because it's a
हाँ
I'm
बोलो।
sure, Arman.
limited that is 500 words. तो अगर हम उसके अंदर ही वाई हाउ लाइक नॉट टेक्निकलिटी एस्पेक्ट बट द कि हम क्यों लिख रहे हैं वो तो चलो सर एक दो लाइन में हो सकता है बट हम लोग अगर हर चीज स्क्वीज इन करने की कोशिश करेंगे तो एसेंस ऑफ स्टोरी जो स्पेसिफिक है वो तो लाइक इतने कम वर्ड्स में हो जाएगा कि एक्सप्लेन करने
नहीं
लायक
नहीं नहीं
स्टोरी
नहीं नहीं,
बचेगी नहीं ना सर।
कैसे 500 में से 50 वर्ड तुमको डेडिकेट करना, 10% बोल तो रहा हूँ।
हाँ हाँ
10 to 15% तुमको डेडिकेट करना। अब ये नहीं, क्यों तुमको ये बना? नहीं तो सीधा पूछा होता ना भाई कि सीन लिख दो, सिंपल है। तुमको एक 2 घंटे का फीचर लेंथ फिल्म का सिनॉप्सिस डाल, सवाल को समझो। नहीं तो ये वाला इंफॉर्मेशन का क्या मतलब? सिनॉप्सिस को स्टोरी तक में खत्म होता ऑफ फीचर फिल्म लेंथ, फीचर लेंथ फिल्म 2 आवर्स। ये वाला जो पार्ट दिख रहा है तुमको, ये जो पार्ट है ना,
Sir, your
ये
screen.
एक मिनट, सॉरी वो जो पार्ट था ना कि भैया सिनॉप्सिस ऑफ फीचर लेंथ, तो वो फीचर लेंथ क्यों स्पेसिफाई कर रहा है? वो शॉर्ट फिल्म भी हो सकता है, वो तो डॉक्यूमेंट्री भी हो सकता है, वो तो एक नॉवेल भी हो सकता है। वो अगर वो मेंशन कर रहा है भाई, कोई रीजन है ना उसका, समझो।
So your screen is not visible.
आई एम गेटिंग आई एम इट जस्ट वो बंद हो गया मेरा जो पीडीएफ फाइल प्लेयर था, जो पीडीएफ जो ओपनर था,
Okay.
वो बंद हो गया। जस्ट इट्स ओपन, जस्ट कीप इट। आर यू गेटिंग पॉइंट?
Yeah, so you are basically meaning that why do you want to tell this story particularly for the screen?
हाँ नहीं पर्टिकुलरली फॉर द स्क्रीन भी नहीं, उसके भी बियॉन्ड कि इट्स अ फीचर लेंथ स्क्रीन,
Yeah.
इट्स अ फीचर लेंथ फिल्म, it's not film that you're doing. This information, what does this information mean? Why is it here in the question? You're getting a point.
Means the idea.
This information is, if we are only sticking to the summary of the story, then what is this information about? Why is this information important? ये दिख रहा है मेरा कर्सर यहाँ पे,
हाँ
तो ये इन्फॉर्मेशन कोई पॉइंट नहीं ना फिर, समझ लो। ये तो बोल सकता है कि वॉच गो ऑन अ स्ट्राइक, नहीं, ठीक है। राइट द सिनॉप्सिस ऑफ अ स्टोरी, फुल स्टॉप। राइट द सिनॉप्सिस ऑफ अ स्टोरी फॉर अ फीचर लेंथ फिल्म। ये क्यों वो मेंशन कर रहा है जो 2 घंटे की है, ये भी मेंशन कर रहा है।
I guess that gives us an idea of how vast the film needs to be, like how many scenes, how many plots, plot points, like कितना लंबा.
बट जो भी लंबा होगा तुमको तो फिट इन करना है उसको 500 वर्ड्स, चाहे वो शॉर्ट फिल्म हो चाहे वो फीचर फिल्म हो, तुमको तो 500 वर्ड्स में ही वो सारे इंपॉर्टेंट प्लॉट पॉइंट्स को घुसाने हैं। उसको तो तुम
हाँ.
उसको तुम नहीं कुछ कर सकते हो। तो
हम्म.
समझो बात को। और ये मैं कहाँ से बोल रहा हूँ वो भी बता रहा हूँ। ये मैं बोल रहा हूँ अपने पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंसेस। मैं पिछले 10 साल से आई बीन कॉन्स्टेंटली रैंडमली कभी इधर कभी उधर आई बीन अप्लाइंग फॉर and I've been meeting people. I've been a part of these uh, organizations which conduct, script writing labs and all these things. Or I have met several financiers, several producers, and then this understanding. BS synopsis is just not a story of this. Okay? When we are talking in terms of feature film, it goes beyond just the sample of the story. It is representing you. So you have to underline people. I'm willing for I wish to go ahead with this thing. Go blah blah blah. Because I'm fascinated with just one line. Let's say I'm fascinated with the idea of time, and I'm fascinated with the idea of what happens if the times is stuck.
Okay, so we
and
need like.
and also if possible, how have such complicated complex ideas in the past or in the recent past fared vis-a-vis feature films? How have they done? They have done very well. So to say, the audience is ready to buy this complex concept, or the audience is ready to is willing for this humor, this absurd humor. You have to
So it
justify
has
it.
to also, apart from a summary, it has to also pitch the film kind of, from a person.
Yes, it's a
Well,
synopsis. Yes, not pitch really. It's what you think, and then it's up to the producer or the financier to go ahead with your idea or not to go ahead. You have to try and convince him that this is the gist of the story, and this is why I want it. That's synopsis. ठीक है।
okay.
उसमें भी होता है ब्रीफ सिनॉप्सिस, उसमें होता है लॉन्ग सिनॉप्सिस, वो भी होता है। लॉन्ग सिनॉप्सिस में तुमको ज्यादा स्पेस मिलता है पूरा अपना स्टोरी को डिटेल्स में लिखने के लिए, बट ऑलवेज डेडिकेटेड दैट 10 to 15% of the content to that information which is in a way wanted but not really specified in the, uh, but intended when it comes to feature film or film synopsis.
Okay.
ठीक है, तो किसका कर लिया हमने? अंशुल का हो गया ना?
Yeah.
ठीक है, कोई क्वेश्चन है अंशुल or anybody else regarding this, or should we move on?
No, we can move on.
Okay, Abhinav.
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Time's running out. An electromagnetic wave passes through the Tropic of Cancer. The wave originates from an unidentifiable object. Before the defense units can bring it down, it escapes the radar, leaving the government and the defense establishment with more questions than answers. No immediate effects are seen, and life goes on as it is in India. After a week or so, a psychic from Indore surfaces on the internet, claiming that he was contacted by aliens in his dream who informed him that it was they who released the electromagnetic wave. He further claims that time is meaningless and that it would hold no value. In the video that he has put out on the internet, he's also seen destroying all watches and clocks in his flat. People dismiss his antiques as a moment of shock virality and nothing more. The very next day of his claims, reports start coming in of clocks and watches across India not working. When people try to read time on their phone, their screens just say, time is running out. All of
Uh-huh.
this creates a sense of pandemonium across the country. Government authorities try to reach the psychic in Indore, but he's found dead in his apartment, but surprisingly with no injury marks. With mounting public pressure on the government, it realizes it has to take the help of the supernatural to fix this problem. A lot of religious leaders try to come forward to solve the problem. Most turn out to be frauds, spewing fiction at their will. Just before the Indian government decides to take help of other countries to solve this issue, a young boy of 16 years from Calcutta, Abir, surfaces. When the government inquires about his abilities, he says that he's just a student whose favorite pastime is writing. The government officials get angry and insist on sending him back. Abir's facial emotions, however, change. It glows. His body tightens up. Even though he doesn't say a word, a voice originating, an invisible voice, commands the government officials to give Abir a paper and pen. Abir starts writing. Through the words, it is revealed that the invisible voice was of the god of time. He berates India for not respecting the sacredness of time. He says that punctuality is the greatest worship towards time and that India is drastically lagging behind. Whether it's delays of trains and buses, government files getting stuck in offices, or justice getting served too late in courts, until and unless there's a greater resolve on the government's part to fix this problem, no clock or watch in India would return from the strike. Abir faints and is immediately hospitalized. Without any further delay, the Indian Parliament passes a legislation that makes punctuality a rule of law and makes it a criminal offense across all sectors to violate it. After the passing of the legislation, the clocks and watches mysteriously start working again, and India starts taking proactive steps to become a more punctual nation.
Okay, nice. Interesting. Interesting, simple to read, and nothing like, अरे ये कैसे? So, just give
Thank
me
you.
1 second. One
Yeah.
computer. हाँ, why was he found dead? ये क्या? ये suddenly ये क्या तुम्हें twist दे दिया?
This, yes, sir. I realized that I didn't have like I just wanted to create a sense of suspense, but then yeah, that question remained unanswered. So yeah.
So be careful these things. But you have to summarize everything. If he's found dead, there better be a reason.
Reason for it. Got it. Got it, sir.
ठीक है, any questions? Like we have discussed immensely.
No, sir. No, sir.
Missing?
More or less, like we have to like as you said, we have to also talk about why we want to make this and what other kind of films that have used themes like this, like all those points we have to mention in the synopsis, right? Like,
Right, correct.
got it, sir.
ठीक है, let's move on to the next one, Krishna.
Hi, sir. Should I start?
Uh, yes, Krishna, go ahead.
Mumbai, the city that never sleeps and never stops with watching the clock. Local trains arrive down to the second. Officers, office workers race against deadlines, and even personal work is scheduled between lunch breaks. But one Monday morning, something strange happens. All watches, clocks, alarms, and digital time displays stop. Not a single time uh, keeping device in the city works. Mobile phones flash a blank where time should be. Church bells, railway station clocks, and even microwave timers freeze. The machines refuse to measure time. At first, Mumbai panics. Trains halt mid-track, unable to decide if they're late or early. Banks freeze, operations, uh, office buildings remain shut because employees don't know when to enter. Traffic goes wild as signals systems crash. People argue, tempers flare, news anchors scream, time has stopped. The government must act. Amidst the madness lives Rekha, 40-year-old single mother and railway announcer at Dadar station. Her life revolves around precision. Every word she says is tied to the clock. Her teenage son, Aditya, is a quiet dreamer who loves nature and sketches, and the one who is a free soul and believes that nature is that the time is just a cage we build for ourselves. As the crisis deepens, Rekha becomes anxious. Her job is suspended. Her sense of control crumbles. Meanwhile, Aditya starts waking up with the sun, drawing on the terrace, eating when hungry, and sleeping when tired. He says, "Mom, the city has lost its watch, not its rhythm." Around them, Mumbai begins to shift. Fishermen still sail at dawn. Birds fly back at dusk. Hawkers shout their calls when the streets heat up. The city's nature, its true clock, keeps ticking, but people don't know how to read it anymore. Rekha meets others struggling, a broker who can't trade, a wedding planner whose events are cancelled, and a chaiwala who now serves tea when he feels people need warmth, not when the break bell rings. Slowly, she notices a quiet harmony. Certainly I'm a bit nervous, so please excuse me for that.
Why?
Slowly,
I don't know.
Slowly, she notices a quiet harmony. The sea still rises, the wind still cools in the evening, and her son, free of alarm bells, and is more alive than ever. She begins to let go. That evening, she steps into the other station. No announcements, no clock, just people breathing, looking around, helping each other find their way. Someone sings, a child claps. A train finally arrives. No one knows if it's late or early, but they board anyway. And then, without warning, a billboard flashes the time again. Clocks restart, phones light up, bells ring. Mumbai roars back to life. But Rekha no longer panics. She smiles, picks up the mic, and for the first time in years speaks slowly. That one day seemed heavy for others, but for Aditya and Rekha it did not.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, tell me.
Basic idea was that uh, उसमें ये नहीं लिखा था कि नेचर की क्लॉक इट जस्ट उसमें ये लिखा था कि वॉल्स मतलब क्लॉक्स एंड वॉचेस अगर स्टॉप हो जाए बट नेचर्स clock is always there.
Mhm. Right.
I
Okay.
use the concept.
Hey, fine. See, I don't mind using a concept. It's wonderful if you use, if you use a concept and your story, your write up is based on some idea. It's a beautiful thing, you know.
Yes, sir.
But then the presentation need to be simple. Still, you must have a clarity on that concept, and it's only then that you'll end up having a simpler presentation. Okay. If there is any confusion inside you, it will reflect in your write up. So, but the problem is something else here. Which one? The
Yes, sir.
problem is ki, see, and again, this is for all of us here. Okay, every story, what are the basic parts of a story? We have read it so many times in our school days. Tell me,
Uh, beginning,
anybody. Ah,
middle, and end. The
okay,
three act structure.
okay. So, what is the function of the beginning? What is the function of the middle? What is the function of the end?
Rising in like the end. The if I say technically, it is conflict in the middle, and then the resolution.
And what is the first part? So beginning, yeah.
It is
Setup.
setup. Yeah.
Correct. So the first part is introduction, the beginning, the setup, where you are establishing that world where your characters are going to play some story, okay? And what the conflict is about to be, a seed of that conflict. That is the first part, in the beginning part. Stick to this when you're doing your FTA answer. Stick to this simple uh, definition of a story. So in the opening, in the beginning, whatever the whatever percentage you may feel like assigning to it, assign it. There is no ऐसा कोई rule नहीं. But establishing your setup, your space, your world, your characters is a must, and the reason the story is, or the story is about to be, what is the reason? So वो तो तुम्हारा अच्छा है, beginning तो सही है. Middle is the conflict. अभी conflict जो part आता है ना, तो ये इतना complicated, तो मेरे को ना समझ में नहीं आया कि यार ये रेखा से हम अचानक से आदित्य में क्यों? तो आदित्य है तुम्हारी स्टोरी में.
Yes.
He should have been found or mentioned somewhere in the beginning itself.
Yes, sir.
बिगनिंग में भी तुम्हारा ये डेडिकेट ये जो कंफ्यूजन कहाँ से आ रहा है. आई एम जस्ट ट्राइंग टू फिगर आउट दैट द कंफ्यूजन इज अराइजिंग बिकॉज you beautifully describes the city, the church bells, the all the problems that have happened, that are suddenly happening and Mumbai panics and ये वो and वो. But तेरा जो मेन तुम्हारा कैरेक्टर है रेखा comes to be late in all of this. एंड देन उसके बाद फिर रेखा के बाद फिर उसका जो आदित्य का मेंशन है, क्योंकि उसका बेटा है, और फिर ही बिलीव्स this city is lost its watch but not its income. He's doing something, he's saying something, but I can't really make out what exactly is the import of his words. What is the importance of this? Whatever that he's saying. He's again uttering something very philosophical. If the city has lost its watch, not its उसका उसका रेलेवेंस क्या है मेरे समझ में.
द
ठीक है फिर
नेचर. मैं
हाँ,
ह्यूमन और नेचर को कनेक्ट करना चाह रही थी
तो
कि
तेरा 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 प्रेजेंटेशन का इंटेंट वो था कि ह्यूमन और नेचर को कनेक्ट करना ना, यही था ना. तो वो तो इंटेंशन यहाँ रिफ्लेक्ट हो जाना चाहिए था कहीं फर्स्ट पार्ट में,
आई ट्राई इट आउट.
नहीं तो फिर मैं यहाँ पे अचानक से कुछ हो जाएगा तो फिर मैं फिगर आउट करने बैठ जाऊँ कि अच्छा ये क्या हो गया, ये क्या हो रहा है. Because
हम्म.
I'm because I am trying to understand all your stories is all about is somewhere in these first few paragraphs. This
Yes.
that nature, human conflict, and all that should have happened there somewhere, wherever in the first few lines, and the characters, should have found the place somewhere. And then यहाँ से तुम्हारा प्रॉब्लम शुरू होता है कि अब क्या हो रहा है, अब ये हो रहा है, वो हो रहा है, माइक्रोवेव्स काम नहीं कर रहे हैं, ये नहीं काम कर रहा है क्योंकि टाइमर ही नहीं है, कहीं कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स हो रहे हैं, ऐसा वाला हो रहा है, वैसा हो रहा है. और फिर रेखा कैसे फिगर आउट करने की कोशिश कर रही है, या वो कैसे सफर कर रही है, बाकी लोग कैसे सफर कर रहे हैं, स्टॉक ब्रोकर कैसे सफर कर रहा है, वेडिंग प्लान सब वो सब तो सही है, कोई प्रॉब्लम. एंड उसका आदित्य का क्या कहना उसी बीच में आता है. देन हाउ इज एवरीथिंग पैनिंग आउट. और उसके बाद फिर क्या है तुम्हारा दूसरा प्रॉब्लम, and then without warning a billboard flashes and all the time comes back. ये थोड़ा सा मुझे टर्न ऑफ हो गया मेरा एक्सपीरियंस. अरे भाई कुछ तो रीजन देना चाहिए था, कुछ तो एक इंटरेस्टिंग सा एक रीजन देना चाहिए था कि जिसे बाकियों ने दिया है, सबके कुछ ना कुछ रीजन दिया है कि दिया टाइम चला गया था लेकिन आ गया क्योंकि उसको उसका सब प्रोफेसर हो गया, या जो भी रीजन किया, तो फिर हम टाइम का पंक्चुअलिटी मान गए, या कुछ तो हुआ कि हम टाइम का वैल्यू समझ गए एज अ सोसाइटी, कुछ तो हुआ एंड देन द टाइम केम. यहाँ पे ये थोड़ा सा मुझे ये पर्सनल मतलब होता है, मेरे को थोड़ा टर्न ऑफ गया यार. इतना इंटरेस्टिंग लिख रही है तो फिर एक लाइन कुछ हाँ भी इमेजिनेटिव डाल देना चाहिए था.
ओके सर.
And resolution is very nice. The final line is very nice. But Rekha no longer pans. So that is the story, the ending of the story. all this story happened, or you created all this story, all these lines, all this imaginative, absurd space and people concept of time, because you wanted Rekha to no longer panic, and which is what she does. She doesn't
कि
panic
मम्मी
anymore.
तो भाग रही है, लोग भाग रहे हैं, तो we need to take some pause to relax, to pay attention to ourselves, to our family health and everything.
हाँ, पर वो सब तो तुम्हारा कहीं है ना, वो तो तुम ठीक है, वो समझ में आ गई बात, वो तो ठीक है, लेकिन उसकी
हम्म.
क्लैरिटी के साथ थोड़ा सा कंकॉक्टेड है, थोड़ा सा ऐसे हिला हुआ, स्क्यूड है, मतलब थोड़ा मुझे समझने पे जोर डालना पड़ता है वो। और
Yes.
उसके बाद भी बेसिक इशू, ठीक है। सो बी वेरी, दीज आर थिंग्स व्हिच द सी इट्स, कैसे बताऊं, ये जो नंबर गेम है ना, एंट्रेंस को क्रैक करने के लिए तुमको मिनिमम एक एक नंबर का वैल्यू, वो एक एक नंबर के लिए हम लोग फाइट करते हैं। वो
Yes, sir.
फाइट के लिए, वो एक एक नंबर के लिए हमें एज फार एज पॉसिबल करेक्ट होना पड़े, ठीक है। करेक्ट से मतलब है कि नीड ऑफ द आवर क्या है उसको ध्यान में रखते हुए करेक्ट होना। कभी कभी कॉम्प्लेक्स चीजें बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग मिल जाती हैं, बट नॉट ऑलवेज, नॉट अंडर प्रेशर यू हैव टू आंसर द पेपर इन 2 hours। When you have all the time in your life and you write a 500 word answer in 3 days time, then you can very well design and create and some very complex concept in a very simplistic way, very understandable way। अभी यहाँ पे क्या है ना कि ज्यादा कॉम्प्लेक्स में घुसेंगे तो अंडरस्टैंडेबल नहीं बनता, या कुछ कॉम्प्लेक्सिटीज मेरे को अफेक्ट करेंगी इन अ वे कि आई वुड वांट टू गो बैक एंड रीड, and all that is a nuisance for me as an examiner। I want a
Yes.
simple khichdi जो कि easily पच जाए, but interesting one without any imagination का compromise नहीं होना चाहिए, ठीक है।
Yes.
इमेजिनेशन को सिंप्लीफाई करके देना,
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
ठीक है। चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं। अरमान, are you there?
Yes, so am I audible?
Yes, not अच्छा चलो बोल।
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, if you can do something with your audio, that would be better. I think I know what you're using your. Are you using your wireless headphones?
No, sir, I'm not using any headphones or something. It's
Then if you could come closer to the system,
yeah,
come
yeah,
on।
I'm trying. Hello,
हाँ
am I?
बोल। चलो ठीक है, चलो बोल, चलो बोल, पढ़ो।
Okay, sir. A beautiful morning sunshine peeks through the small window opening, bright enough to hit Rajesh's face and disturb his sleep. He slowly opens his eye, rubbing them lazily. Rajesh had just moved to Delhi from his big family kotri in Agra. His new home was a tiny one RK room on a rooftop of a four-story building in Rajput Mohalla of Anandpuri. He grabs the alarm clock to switch it off, only to realize he's already half an hour late. It's his first day as a customer support manager in a reputed tech company. In a total panic, he jumps out of bed, brushes his teeth while half asleep, runs out of the shower half naked, throws on his formals, and runs out of the house in a chaos. The neighbors see a man dressed like a corporate joker running aimlessly through the narrow gullies. But for Rajesh, it's a slow motion Bollywood scene where he is the hero and the time, laughing like Raman from the skies, is the villain. He reaches the metro station only to see the train has already left 4 minutes ago. The next one is 15 minutes later. Visible tension covers his face. His brain starts doing plus minus calculations, cutting 2 minutes from the walk, adding 1 minute to lift. But deep down, he knows he's going to be late for his first day. Desperate, he turns to one trick every Indian middle class mom knows before a big event. भगवान जी मैं मन्नत मांगता हूँ अगर आज टाइम पर ऑफिस पहुंच गया तो सच्ची कल पैदल माता रानी के मंदिर जाऊंगा और आधा किलो लड्डू चढ़ाऊंगा. Cut to heaven. Vishnuji in a modern blue formal suit, lounging on his Sheshnak sofa.
watches Rajesh tiny Mannat and laughs. He calls time god. क्या करें भाई? Time god replies, हर कोई अपनी गलती मुझ पर डाल देता है. मन करता है घड़ियों को ले जाऊं और हड़ताल पर चला जाऊं. विष्णु laughs. क्यों नहीं? आइडिया बुरा नहीं है. तथास्तु. Suddenly on earth time stops. For a moment people are confused. Then they realize there's no time anymore. No clocks ticking, no sun moving. Rajesh is happy at first, but soon regrets it. The first day of his office becomes a non-stop work shift. For 3 days, the sun hasn't set. People are stuck working without breaks. Patients are stuck between life and death. Rajesh feels guilty. His silly mannat caused this. He decides to fix it. He runs out of office, buys 1 kilo laddu from a local sweet shop after much inner financial conflict. But instead of Mandir, he heads to an old clock museum on the outskirts of Delhi. He saw it on the news. It had a special 1200s era pendulum pillar clock. He enters, runs to the first floor, kneels in front of the clock and says, यार माफ कर दो भगवान जी, अगली बार से ऐसी मन्नत नहीं मांगूंगा. मुझे क्या पता था इतनी बड़ी बात हो जाएगी. मैं मन्नत वापस लेता हूँ. He awaits for some divine miracle. Nothing happens. A little sad, he walks towards the stairs. Just then, he slips, bangs his head, and everything goes black. Moments later, he wakes up on his floor in his room. The alarm clock had fallen on him, waking him up. It's still the first day of his office. Everything is normal. Relieved, he looks up at the sky and thanks God. But then he pauses. Was it really just a dream?
ओके, अच्छा, नाइस है, इंटरेस्टिंग है. बट हम लोग यार जब भी ऐसे कुछ अनरियलिस्टिक थीम में जाते हैं तो हम व्हाई डू वी एंड अप मेकिंग इट अ ड्रीम? व्हाई डू वी एंड अप जस्टिफाइंग इट? It's a question open to everyone. Should we always justify? Like, why is everything has? Why does everything have to be logical, reasonable? Why? Why can't certain things be beyond logic and reason? Why can't this entire thing happen? Let's say.
अगेन सर मेरे
Um,
को भी लाइक थोड़ा क्वेश्चन था लाइक should I leave it into reality or fiction? That's why I tried adding that last bit of it. Like again, if it would have been like that 500 words का crunch, तो मैंने वो last line was it really just a dream? उसको I guess explain किया होता वन और एक दो चीजों के साथ जो like उसके ड्रीम में भी हुई हैं और actual in reality भी
no,
चल
you're
रही हैं.
right. Correct. You're right.
But
My point is कि when you say he walks towards the stairs and slips and bangs his head and everything goes black. ठीक है. Moments later, he wakes up on the floor of his room. The alarm clock had fallen on him, waking him up. It's still his first day of everything is normal. Everything is normal जो तुमने बोल दिया ना. तो तुमने इतना जो मेरे लिए मैजिकल एक स्पेस बनाया था, एक सिचुएशन क्रिएट किया था, वो चला गया एक्चुअली.
ओके सर अगली बार ध्यान रखूंगा सॉरी.
नहीं नहीं, ऐसा नहीं कि तुमको हर बार वो मैजिकल कर बना के रखना. नॉट
हाँ
सेइंग
हाँ
कि एवरी टाइम यू यू बेटर क्रिएट दैट. नो, आई डोंट नीड दैट मैजिक रियलिज्म ऑल द टाइम.
यस
बट समटाइम्स इन आवर राइटर्स we may end up is it's a thought, it's a personal choice, right?
यस सर.
You could have actually ended up here itself. It goes black, everything goes black, and it's up to the reader now to figure out कि अच्छा, in this case maybe अच्छा किया है कि तुमने explain कर दिया, simple कर दिया reader.
यस सर.
But my thing is कि apart from this examination, if you're not attempting something like this, you may think about it. You may not always end the things logical or reasonable.
ओके
You
सर.
may kind of take that cinematic leap or the creative leap. Just letting it hang in the air somewhere.
यस सर.
So, yeah, don't shy away from
यस
being
सर.
that side. ठीक है, अच्छा है, अच्छा है. और एक बात बताओ, ये तुम विष्णु जी तो टाइम के गॉड नहीं है. विष्णु जी
नहीं
टाइम
नहीं
के
सर सो देर आर टू गॉड्स ओवर हियर. मैंने लिखा है विष्णु जी इन अ मॉडर्न ब्लू फॉर्मल सूट ही कॉल्स टाइम गॉड. तो यहाँ पे देयर इज अ कॉन्वर्सेशन क्या करें भाई एंड टाइम टाइम गॉड रिप्लाइज हर कोई अपनी गलती मुझ पर
ओ,
डाल देता है. सो देर आर
अच्छा,
टू पीपल ही कॉल्स टाइम गॉड.
ओके ओके, आई एम सो सॉरी. ओके, ठीक. अच्छा, तुम लोगों ने पता नहीं, आई डोंट नो इफ यू हैव, आई थिंक इट्स मोर फ्रॉम माय जनरेशन थिंग. So I think Mahabharat में was it Ramayana? I think Mahabharat में when the Mahabharat serial used to begin, you know, so the first thing every episode was about समय, मैं समय हूँ, ठीक है. I पता नहीं तुम लोगों ने देखा है कि नहीं महाभारत पुराना वाला, ओरिजिनल महाभारत जो था,
Yes,
रामायण और
sir.
महाभारत. तो उसमें एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग कॉन्सेप्ट बन गई. टाइम, इंडियन इंडियन इसमें कॉन्टेक्स्ट में टाइम तो कॉन्सेप्ट ही है ना, कॉन्सेप्चुअल स्ट्रक्चर. तो
यस सर.
तो एंड वेरी स्ट्रेंज कि एक्चुअली में कोई टाइम का गॉड, आई डोंट रिकॉल कि देयर इज डेडिकेटेड गॉड फॉर टाइम. ऐसा इतने 33,000 गॉड्स हैं, लेकिन टाइम का कोई गॉड मुझे नहीं पता कि कोई है. So, anyways, point is कि मैं समय हूँ. It used to be a very later on people started making memes out of it. मैं समय हूँ उसका. बट वो इंटरेस्टिंग एक टेक हो सकता था कि अपने राइटअप में इस तरह के कोई इस वाले क्वेश्चन में वो कहीं ना कहीं वो आ जाए. वो समय, टाइम गॉड, मैं समय. एनीवेज ये तो एक ऐसी आफ्टर थॉट है. ठीक है, चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं. बाकी बाकी ठीक है यार, बाकी क्या ही बोलूं. मुझे तो 500 वर्ड से ज्यादा लग रहा है भाई.
सर ये 500 लाइक 500 510 ही है, उससे ज़्यादा नहीं है सर. लाइक मैंने वर्ड काउंट किया हुआ है.
ओके, ठीक. ठीक है, लेट्स मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट वन. कोई और सवाल है वैसे बाय द वे हमारा?
नहीं
हाँ.
सर, अभी के लिए तो नहीं.
और ये क्या दौड़ा दौड़ा भागा सा ये
आई वांटेड टू नेम इट सो बिकॉज द होल
नहीं, दैट्स अ वेरी गुड आइडिया. नेम योर स्टोरी, गिव अ टाइटल टू योर
Yeah.
स्टोरी
So
बिकॉज
again, the whole story is about Rajesh trying to do everything quickly so that he like ends up on time. उस चक्कर में एवरीथिंग जो करता है वो भाग भाग के करता है, तो उस चक्कर में मैंने दौड़ा दौड़ा भागा भागा सा नाम रखा.
बाय द वे इससे एक ख्याल आया एंड इट्स आई थिंक आई शुड ट्राई टू शेयर इट राइट नाउ. टाइटल रखना चाहिए कि नहीं रखना चाहिए तो अपने राइटर्स का, अपने स्टोरीज का, उसको टाइटल देना चाहिए या नहीं देना चाहिए, या ऐसा कोई जरूरी नहीं है? व्हाट डू यू थिंक?
देना चाहिए.
क्यों
सर
देना चाहिए?
इम्पोर्टेंट.
व्हाई इज इट इम्पोर्टेंट?
आई मीन वन मेन रीजन, लाइक दो रीजंस जो मैं सोचता हूँ. वन इज दैट वन लाइन इज समथिंग जो आपकी पूरी स्टोरी का या फिर एनीथिंग व्हाट यू आर राइटिंग, वो एक लाइन या फिर कुछ शब्दों में इट जस्ट tells ki what you wanted to convey, what is specifically
Very
there.
nice. Very nice.
And
Because and
the second thing is like again it adds a personal touch to the story कि आपने लिखा है तो आप किसी चीज को like डिस्क्राइब करके तो नहीं बताएंगे किसी और को, तो आप एक छोटे से नाम के थ्रू ही बता सकते हैं कि मैंने ये लिखा है. तो वो इट ऑल्सो गिव्स दैट पर्सनल टच और दैट बिलोंगिंग फीलिंग ऑल्सो, सो दैट इज ऑल्सो रीजन.
very nice, well said. Well said. Because so what summarize what you're saying is that a title is also meaningful. It is just not randomly a shab, no, it's just not. It is summary of the entire thing. It somewhere hints or makes it easier for the reader or for the audience to understand, to make a gist, make a summary, or make an understanding of what he's about to read or what he's about to witness or watch, as a film. That title plays a very important role in summarizing the entire thing. And don't give it away. The moment जहां मौका लगा तो कोई भी ऐसा पूछता है, if if it's a writer, it's a story, if it's a summary, it's a synopsis, whatever it is, mention your title, write a title, try giving a title, if it is possible. If नहीं दिमाग में आ रहा, don't ऐसे बहुत don't उसके पीछे अपना जान मत देखो, बट डोंट गिव अवे ऑल द टाइम थिंकिंग अबाउट टाइटल. बट अगर टाइटल दिमाग में एक बार थॉट दो कि अच्छा इसका टाइटल हो सकता है, क्या हो सकता है, क्या हो सकता है, दिमाग में आया डाल दो. और नहीं दिमाग में आया कोई बात नहीं, आगे. बट टाइटल बिकम्स वेरी क्रिटिकल. इट हेल्प्स यू, इट विल ऑलवेज. ठीक है, लेट्स मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट वन. मनस्विनी.
Sir, I've just joined today, so I wasn't much aware of what even a synopsis exactly means when it comes to screenwriting. So I'm sorry about the callousness with the typos and the word limit that I've exceeded, and also not taking the theme literally and perhaps having a metaphysical look at it. So I just wanted to point that out.
No, that's all right. Absolutely fine. Ma'am. It's okay. There's
All right.
nothing. But why are you what? ये तुम मुझे क्यों समझा रहे हो? Let your
Um,
let your
all
writer
right. All
explain.
right. Yeah.
And rest assured, it's absolutely fine if you make mistakes. No,
All
only
right.
when
All
you
right.
only when you make a mistake that possibly will point it out. One of us, not always myself. There could be your other fellow members here, or
Right.
roommate,
Right.
and then there will be a chance for you to understand and rectify it. So it's okay. It's absolutely okay. Anyways, let's move on.
One day, suddenly, all clocks, all time denoting devices suddenly stopped working. For a quick moment, the internet in India shut down. It was a brief 32 seconds, but the moment everyone logged back in, there was no time. At first, people thought there was something wrong with their gadgets, so they checked their manual clocks. No, nothing was working. Even our glasses would not work. There was a nationwide spread emergency announced, and the world leaders, corporate hubs, labor institutions were shaking in their boots. News channels aired live, frantically announcing time is on strike. There is an emergency meeting at the parliament. World leaders are gathering in to figure out exactly what happened. People online were fueling conspiracy theories and hypotheses. Physicists themselves were perplexed and fascinated. Hashtags such as, "Is time alive? Are we living in a simulation? The Matrix is real. Here's how to break free" were trending. Pradeep Chugh is one of the leading physicists and philosophers trying to crack the code. He was a man of much wisdom and remained cool under pressure. So when he saw how chaos ensued, how class divides were collapsing, and people were rebelling and revolting more and more against government and banking institutions, he kept his thinking hat on and kept trying his best to decode the mystery. Other countries had initially tried to solve India's crisis but finally gave up. The country organized itself into different groups. Government was on the brink of collapse as there was no proper way to track labor in and output. People on the streets had more contact and conversation with each other. Some religious fanatics tried to capitalize by spreading hate and blaming this time strike on the enemy religion. People started keeping time through a sense of measure and passing. For example, if someone um, sorry. For example, if someone roughly wanted to denote 15 minutes, they'd say, "I'll get it done in 3 recitations long." And this would refer to some prayer or song duration. A lot of people went out more into nature and tried to read time through nature. But even then, time eluded them. Time was indeed on a proper strike. For a lot of people, there was unemployment. Even money was losing its essence and importance in a lot of ways. Suddenly, there were communities that worked for process and final product and not just barter for money directly. Some factories shut down and people started working by hand. Older handicrafts are practiced again. Regions become more and more localized as people use less internet. The Indian government started issuing ration money, and there was a generalized life sustenance fund till they could figure out how to bring time back. People generally were becoming more empathetic and at the same time more primitive. Humans had all the technology at their disposal and no rush to hasten its impact. In schools, too, there was no schedule. Classes on the basis of their interactivity would sometimes last for half an hour, sometimes for two, sometimes the entire afternoon. When Pradeep Chugh is randomly taking one of his daily perambulations, he notices a street artist painting, and there are loads of these rebel artists who have taken to the streets in the midst of chaos, who, unafraid of police brutalities, continue their opposition to previous labor structures. This one seems particularly mad. "That's Dali's persistence of memory," Pradeep exclaims, recognizing the famous work. "Yes, it's an imitation, you see," the artist chimes hysterically, jumping and blinking. "Yes, I can tell," Pradeep says, slightly cocking his head and staring at the painting. "It's a secret." The man puts a finger on his lip, winking at Pradeep. "You see, there is no time. Ha ha, it's all an imitation." He jumps and squeals like a rat. It suddenly hits Pradeep how to bring time back, how to create an imitative or substitute time again. He thinks of a philosophy quote that finally cracks the code. Excitedly, he runs back to his home to work on the problem and to finally try to solve it. He would need to create a different system for tracking time. When he comes back home, his wife asks him to come for dinner at the table. Too excited to solve it, he shakes his hand at her and says, I don't have time, Jana. This is really important. It could change the world. I've got to do it right now. We can fix it. We can bring it back. She cups his face in her hand and in a loving and astonished manner says, what are you talking about, silly? There is time and time forever, my love, for you, for me. Look, I finally finished that painting I was too stressed out for. Pradeep stops, reconsiders, perplexed. He finds himself drifting into an existential paradox.
Okay. Okay. Just give me a minute. Okay, very nice. Hmm. Okay, I'm sorry. What is Pradeep Chak's uh, profession? He's a
He's a physicist.
he's a physicist, right? Correct. Okay. Hmm. Okay, that's very nice actually. मतलब थोड़ा complex है again. मतलब I would have preferred a simpler presentation, but nevertheless, it was easy to read, except कि a little too many things happening, so I missed out. Because what I liked, apart from the basic, the same similar problems that we have had with others, उसको बार-बार वो नहीं करते हैं. कि you are connecting, he is a physicist, मतलब कि he's a physicist से मतलब है कि he follows uh, he follows formulas or rules, rules. He's a science. And at the same time, you're mentioning Dali's persistence of memory. That mention about that it's a it's and also uh, Dali's painting, expressionist painting. तो वो जो कनेक्शन है वो मेरे को बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग है एक्सेप्ट कि थोड़ा सा इसको थोड़ा सा और इसको ना वो बना सकते हैं.
For me, my personal why for this story was because this concept of modern time, the way we see it and the way we function by it, came after the Industrial Revolution, and it is so tied together with labor and this sort of control that time exercises on people. And I think today, in this age where our relationship to labor, our relationship to time, productivity is getting incredibly complex with AI, and all these technological changes that we're in the middle of. I think that I took that question to be quite pertinent, as in, what,
No, you're right. You're right. See,
yeah,
I get your point. I get your point
yeah.
because one of us will possibly end up thinking on those lines. What that yeah. And many of us in the previous answers also have actually dealt heavily on the philosophical aspects of time. ठीक है, but यहाँ पे एक चीज को समझना पड़ेगा. What the question really wanted. The question wanted a very fun oriented answer. One day, all the watches and clocks go on strike. Now, going on strike is a very fun kind of thing. The question ऐसा नहीं था कि one day all the watches and clocks suddenly stop. As if it's a information. The question gives clocks and watches a kind of a character. That watches and clocks go on strike, as if watches and clocks were characters who decide one day कि चलो आज हम लोग काम पे नहीं आते हैं.
Yeah,
So,
I see that. I see
so
that now. How I did not take the theme literally like I should have taken it.
हाँ एग्जैक्टली. तो उसको थोड़ा सा वो ये क्वेश्चन को पढ़ना और उसको समझना बहुत बहुत क्रिटिकल हो जाता है. बी वेरी केयरफुल विद द क्वेश्चन कि भाई it reeks of some kind of a fun. It is expecting humor out of your presentation. It is in the face actually. So So read the question, try and understand what the examiner, what the reader wants from the answer, and then satisfy it. So you may spend maybe a minute or two extra just understanding the question, which is all right, but that would rather help you design your answer perfectly, better, rather, than writing a good presentation, but not really up to the mark. So, ठीक है, philosophy से कोई problem नहीं है, but doesn't serve the purpose actually. It is expecting a humor in the product. Also, about again the same thing, synopsis. The synopsis is just not the summary of the story. It is a little more than the summary of the story. Because also, यहाँ पे it's a mention. It's very specifically specifying that this is a synopsis of a story or a feature length film, approximately 2 hours. That information also expects some additional lines, about what this film is all about, apart from the story summary that you give, why this thought, why this idea, what is the philosophy, or your philosophy, what is your understanding of this concept, why do you want it, why do you want it in a humor way, why not in a serious way? All that then becomes also pertinent. So, and I felt this was a little tool. It was more than 5 minutes. I felt so.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I exceeded the word limit way too much.
तो भाई देखो सिंपल सी बात है, तुमको एग्जाम देना है 20 दिन के बाद ना, तो तुमको तो ये प्रैक्टिस करना पड़ेगा, राइटिंग इन दैट स्टिपुलेटेड, इन दैट गिवन number of words, and in that roughly understandable stipulated time. If you're given yourself, let's say 20 minutes for an answer, you have to finish your answer in 20 minutes. You have to practice that. Okay. To practice and go for handwriting, handwritten thing first. यहाँ पे तो हमको पीडीएफ सबमिट करना पड़ता है, वो दूसरी बात, बट तुमको पहले हाथ से लिखने का प्रैक्टिस भी होना है, ठीक है? तो बहुत सारी, इट्स अ वेरी कॉम्प्लेक्स थिंग, टाइम को मेंटेन करना है, स्पेस को मेंटेन करना है, क्वेश्चन को करेक्टली समझना है, और उसके बाद करके आंसर करना है, ठीक है? तो दैट काइंड ऑफ any other question that you have, Manaswini? Any question that you have? Are you there, Manaswini?
Yes, sir. No, I don't have any set questions, but I was wondering how we could make our personal why more strong in the story. Like, should we write a separate little
Puna,
line
you're
at the
breaking up.
beginning?
I can't hear you.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
You're breaking up. I can't make out what exactly.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Hello.
Am I audible?
For me, she's audible, sir.
Hello, people, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, now we can.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I think the connection went off. Okay. Yeah, Manaswini, could you please repeat your question?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah,
Loud and clear.
I wanted to ask you that how can we make our personal why more apparent? Should we write like a little line before we delve into the summary aspect of it? Or how should we, if we have to intersperse it in our story itself, how exactly can we bring that clarity out that this is why this issue is pertinent and it makes sense for us to like you said that we can make it apparent that other movies in this genre have fared well. But how do we make that obvious with what we are writing? I don't have clarity on that, sir.
Yeah, honestly, I can't really make out what exactly you're saying. But what I understand what you're trying to say is in your presentation, in your writer, how can you make it more personal? Is it what the question is?
How can we make it more understandable why we are right, like why this is an important thing to us? Because you mentioned that a synopsis is not just a summary, it also needs to have that reason and that pulse behind why you're writing exactly this.
Sure. But this question that you're asking me is only, but it's about this particular question, this particular today's question, is it? When I'm
Um,
talking of synopsis, is it just
yes,
related to
yes, sir.
synopsis? Oh,
Yes, yes.
तो सिनॉप्सिस का तो मैंने बताया ना डेफिनेशन, मैंने उसका आइडिया ही फिल्म मेकिंग में सिनॉप्सिस जो हम लिखते हैं ना, उसका एक सिंपल सा अंडरस्टैंडिंग, इट्स जस्ट नॉट जस्ट द समरी ऑफ द स्टोरी, इट इज अ लिटिल मोर देन द समरी ऑफ द स्टोरी. That little more, which is roughly, let's say, 10% of the content, is about why. Why do you want to make this film? And the moment you see, for example, I'll give you a very, from an example, since we also have some time. Let me give you an example from my own story. One of my films, it is based on a historical event in the past. Okay. So I have written a synopsis. Okay. In the synopsis, I have definitely mentioned the story, which is based on that historical event. Okay. And then I also mentioned how did it click me? Why was I, where did that interest creep into me? कि भैया इस पे बनाते हैं, ये कहानी बड़ा interesting. That interesting part, that sorry, you saying something? So that makes it personal, as if, the moment I mentioned कि भैया why am I so inclined in making this film and not the other one, and not something which is a little different from this one. That must find up mention in a synopsis, because again, synopsis is just not the summary of your story. It is a little more than the summary. Also, because in the question it is very clearly asked कि भैया synopsis of ये या 2 घंटे वाली फिल्म है, फीचर लेंथ फिल्म, तो वो इन्फॉर्मेशन भी तो दिया है ना. नहीं तो वो तो वहीं पे स्टॉप हो जाता कि राइट अ सिनॉप्सिस of a film where this is what happened. All the clocks and the watches go for a strike, go on a strike. तो वो इन्फॉर्मेशन भी दिया है, प्लस ऑफ कोर्स मतलब तुमको तुमको क्यों ये काम करो, एंड द मोमेंट यू मेंशन दैट इट बिकम्स पर्सनल, because your idea of that film will definitely differ from my idea of that film. That will make it personal. I may be inclined in the philosophy of time, rather, and while you are inclined in the humor of of the concept of the weirdness of times stopping. So that will make our films different. That will make a third person maybe may just come with a third idea why he wants to make that film, and
Right.
that will make, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so one more question. I was going through the previous year question papers for screenwriting, and I think I saw it mentioned before. I mean, in the instruction part of the paper, that you can only write in one language, so either in English or Hindi, and mixed words will be considered in English. So I'm asking this because I saw a synopsis which had both the elements of English and Hindi. So I'm a little confused. Can we use those elements? Can we use that, use Hindi dialogues in our English script also?
Sure, sure. I'll explain. I think this is the first class you said, right? First time you come, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah. Because I think we discussed this yesterday or the day before. And this is also coming straight from my first-hand experience. My FTI answer when I had appeared for the entrance and I had मेरा F10 हो गया था, तो मतलब कि जस्टिफाइड है। तो मेरे खुद के आंसर ना, माय चोजन लैंग्वेज वाज इंग्लिश, बट मेरे खुद के आंसर में आई रिमेंबर वन क्वेश्चन where I have to describe some scene vis-a-vis some question where a scene was supposed to be, and I wrote described all the scene beautifully, ये वो जो भी मैंने कर दिया था वहाँ पे इंग्लिश में अच्छे से। लेकिन डायलॉग्स के पार्ट में मैंने बिल्कुल नेचुरली आया कि भैया यहाँ पे तो ये वाले कैरेक्टर्स मैंने दिए हैं, बिल्कुल देसी कैरेक्टर्स, वो इंग्लिश में तो बात कर नहीं सकते। सो आई wrote on the dialogues in Hindi, नॉट इन देवनागरी बट रोमन इंग्लिश, ठीक है। अब जो वो लिखा भी था और वो क्लियर भी हो गया था, एंड बाद में मुझे रियलाइज हुआ, या पता भी चला कि इट्स एक्चुअली एब्सोल्युटली फाइन, बिकॉज तेरा मेन का जो डिस्क्रिप्शन है वो सब सारा कुछ जो है तुम्हारा लैंग्वेज वो इंग्लिश में था। And of course, Hindi is again a very general language. Why is this language a thing? FTI asks, because there are people who come from very extreme, uh, uh, regional corners from India. Okay, somebody who doesn't even understand Hindi properly at times, so he will rather probably want to answer in Odia or want to answer in Bengali, right? In Himachali, let's say for that matter. And if they cannot say no, हाँ, but उसको mention करना पड़ेगा शुरू में। तो जब वो mention कर दिया तो FTA will then go and pick the answer, the examiner, the the answer checker from that region who understands Bengali for that matter, say, or who understands Himachali, and that person will then in turn will correct the answer. ठीक है? लेकिन when I'm mentioning English, definitely my answer will go to some person who understands English. ठीक है? But Hindi again is a very general language, so the person who's understanding English will definitely be understanding Hindi. That's not a problem. Again, I also mentioned in yesterday's or day before yesterday's questionnaire that if let's say it is the Hindi is a little too much in your context, in your presentation, in your content, then possibly you cannot avoid it. Let's say, हालांकि अवॉइडेबल है तो अवॉइड करो, ज्यादा मिक्स करो। लेकिन मान लो कि ऐसा सिचुएशन हो गया कि यू कैन नॉट रियली अवॉइड मिक्सिंग टू मच ऑफ हिंदी इन योर प्रेजेंटेशन, then in that case, or if it's too complicated, then in that case brackets you also write the English version of that Hindi content, so that there is no confusion at all from your practice. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, yes. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yes, Arman, you have something to ask?
Yes, sir. Just a
हाँ
basic सा question था कि
हाँ
will there be any questions related to film reviews or anything of that sort in paper? Like not any specific कोई film का, but कि let's say आपने कोई film
देखी हो तो give a film review about like some questions like those.
यार देखो, ये सब कुछ भी हो सकता है, कुछ भी पूछ सकते हैं, ऐसा नहीं है कि ये नहीं पूछ सकता। मैं बोल दूं कि ऐसा कुछ नहीं आया वक्त तक आगे, तो ऐसा कुछ नहीं, ये हो सकता है, बट आई डोंट रिकॉल कि ऐसा कुछ आया इन द पास्ट, एक्सेप्ट कि if there's a film which has really made huge in the last 1 year, that film they would expect कि if you are appearing for FTA interest, you have watched that film, and then they may ask you about that particular film, which was of huge consequence, which earned some huge reward, some, like Payal Kapadia's film for that matter, or or maybe now this time they may ask to write a review of Shyam Benegal's film. This may happen, can't say no, but ऐसा I don't recall कि ऐसा कोई person in the last couple of years that used to write a review of a film, ऐसा आया तो नहीं, पर आ सकता है, you don't know, but किसका आएगा? कोई रैंडम फिल्म का नहीं आएगा, वो आएगा कोई बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट फिल्म का, या फिर वो बोलेंगे कि पिक अ फिल्म ऑफ योर चॉइस एंड देन राइट अ रिव्यू। बट उसमें एक डेंजर है, तुमने तो लिख दिया, एक फिल्म पकड़ लिया और उस पर लिख दिया, हो सकता है जो एग्जामिनर उसने वो फिल्म देखी नहीं है, तो फिर वो किस बिना पे तुम नंबर दे? क्या वो अपना सारा काम छोड़ करके पहले फिल्म देखेगा और फिर असेस करेगा कि तुमने जो लिखा वो सही है या नहीं? वो तो पॉसिबल नहीं, ठीक है। तो आई डोंट थिंक दिस इज अ वेरी प्रोबेबल possibility, but You never know. But be rest assured, Shyam Benegal, Shaji and Karoon, uh, Payal Kapadia, and several others who are important in the last 1 year. Be prepared that anything can come from those people. Direct questions or indirect questions. Okay. Shruti, you had something to ask?
Yeah, sir. Sir, I had this question while you were explaining, Manaswini, about why we should write our motivations and reasons for making this film.
Mm-hmm.
And on that, like that makes the explanation you gave, that makes complete sense in the real world scenario where we are like selling our idea to the probable producers and makers of the film. But in our scenario, we are answering the question which has been posed to us by the examiner. And it's the idea and the question has been given by him or her. So after, like, we can invent the story around that idea, but how will we invent our why around that, why we want to make this film? Maybe
You will
I
have
didn't
to.
like the idea,
No, no,
and that
but you'll
would be
have to be. I get
inauthentic.
your point. I get your point. I get your point. But you'll have to be creative enough and put in something, something that justifiably convinces you're working on the idea. And also, don't. Matlab, you never know. The examiner maybe is just not interested in just the idea, how creatively you write the clock wala story. Possibly, he's also expecting to understand if you know the idea of writing a synopsis of a feature film. You know, possibly he has a couple of marks spared just for the dedicated just for the part कि भैया इसको synopsis लिखने आता है या नहीं आता है और ये इस he or she understands कि भैया feature film का synopsis कैसे लिखा है. Maybe that is also a part of the question which is skewed, which is hidden. On the face of it, it is कि हाँ, you have to write something on the clock. But maybe he's also, because he has mentioned synopsis. He's not mentioned कि write a scene. नहीं तो बाकी क्वेश्चन में तुम देखो सब जगह मेंशन होता है कि हाँ भैया सीन लिख दो, ये सिचुएशन है, ये ब्रीफ है, आप सीन लिखो. तो फिर बात अलग हो जाती है ना कि यहाँ पे तुम क्वेश्चन को पढ़ना और समझना, और there's no harm in adding a line or two just because you feel there may be a hidden question there, or the intent of the question could be a little different from what you apparently what is coming across. Am I making sense, people?
Yeah, yeah, got it.
Cool. Yes, Abhinav, you have a question?
Yes, sir. So like today, the question was about write a synopsis about a feature film. And in the past, questions have also come that write a synopsis, taking into consideration that this is for a short film. So there, how would our approach be different? Like, would we be writing less scene, like less?
No. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
I get your point. I have actually answered this question to somebody, one of you earlier. Even if it was a short film, even if it was mentioned कि write a synopsis of a short film, तो short film में भाई तुमको 500 वर्ड्स में तो टाइम के ऊपर ही लिखना है ना, समझ रहे हो? लिखना तो मैंने मेजर कंटेंट तो तुम्हारा टाइम के ऊपर ही, टाइम जो रुक गया है उस पे ही रहेगा ना, समझ रहे हो ना? बट तुम्हारा चेंज क्या होगा? चेंज होगा जो आखिरी का 2-4 लाइन है उसमें चेंज ये हो जाएगा भैया, यू विल स्पेसिफाई रादर इट्स अ शॉर्ट फिल्म. You will specify it's a short film. Then you will also specify maybe why a short film? I mean, why not maybe a feature film? This is an interesting concept, but it doesn't demand does it whatever of a feature film. It fits correctly for a short film. That one line will serve the purpose. You don't have to be very categorical or very explaining things over there. बट मेजर कंटेंट जो तुम्हारा टाइम का रुक जाना है वो तो 85% है, वो तो वही रहेगा. तो 500 वर्ड में तुमको या 440 450 वर्ड में तुमको वो वही लिखना है. उसमें प्लॉट पॉइंट्स तेरा कम थोड़ी हो जाएगा. या उसमें तुम्हारा कहानी में जो ट्विस्ट है वो कम नहीं होगा, समझ लो। सो ये तो सिमिलर ही रहेगा, बट एक दो चीजें वहां पे टेक्निकली चेंज हो जाएंगी, इफ आई एम
Got it, sir.
cool.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Atharva, you have a question?
No, sir, I just mentioned that answer for Shruti.
Oh,
So, Abhinav, before you can sign off, because I wanted to talk to these people for 10 minutes. If
okay,
you
sure.
now that almost their assignment is already being discussed, so I thought I'll talk to these people.
Sure, sir, sure. I will sign
Oh,
off. One last word to all of you. If you have a question, let's do it right away, or should I just leave? Let me know. I think I'll then just leave. सर लेकिन मैं अगर ये एंड करूंगा तो आपका सबका बंद हो जाएगा ना, क्योंकि मैंने
नहीं वो आप एंड मत करिए, you leave it there itself, and I would disclose this.
you kind of keep
I
it.
would do it. You leave it like that only.
Okay.
Okay.
ठीक है.
Just 5 minutes only.
ठीक है सर. So take care, guys.
Okay.
Have fun.
Okay. Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much.
Good night.
Thank you, sir.
So, okay, guys, switch on your cameras, everybody, quickly. Okay. So, there's a one lady who joined today, this Manswini, correct? Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
this course is primarily, there are two elements in this particular course called direction and screenplay. And there is an exclusive course of 2 years in FTI called script writing, screenplay writing. Call it as a screenwriting. There are different names for it. FTI believes that all directors should know how to write a script. First thing. It does not mean that alone you will write it. You can have 3 or 4 people as a collaborator to write a script. I'll give you an example. Look into any book of Federico Fellini. Always the films which he directed were the film which he want to direct. Okay. But at the same time, there are 3 or 4 script writers along with him in all his films. 80% of his film are the 4 screenplay writers. Point number 1. Point number 2. Somebody was asking why I want to make this film. Okay. So Hollywood works in a different way. A person A will write a script, person B will direct. Okay. Somebody else has written the script and person B will direct. That's how the Hollywood works. Most of the European countries, particularly France, in the 60s when this new wave came up, there was a new term was invented called auteur's cinema, author's cinema. What does it mean? It means until unless it is my passion, I will not direct. It has to appeal to me. Why I want to direct a film like this? Any film for that matter. So there is something called director's statement. When you submit a project for funding, like Rotterdam Film Festival has a grant of Hubert Ball Fund, you also have to write why you want to make a film on this particular subject, why you are connected. Are you getting my point? So until unless it appeals to you, it has your personal experience or you like the subject. For example, the subject which I gave you today is my subject. I want to do a film on this. But it does not mean that my film will be your film. No, it is just a one line. There were 12 stories or 11 stories. And from where I got this idea? There's a book called Ghadiyon Ki Hartal by Om Thanvi. Om Thanvi was the editor for this newspaper, Hindi newspaper, Jansatta. So that book, I bump into it and it really excited me. And then I started developing my own story. It is written for children's point of view, but it has some lot of masala, some scenes and things like that. So when you write your stuff, first is it has to appeal to you. So far, you have not been exposed to this research work. So for last 11 years, I am researching on this subject of watch called clock. Wherever I find something interesting about the clock, I keep jotting down the points whenever I find something, Facebook image or anything. So a lot of research is required to make your subject rich, which can happen in a few months. But if you are relaxed, it can take years because I'm not in a hurry. So maybe one day it will be made, may not be. So the point is how it appeals to you. What is the reason why you want to do this subject? And one could be the idea you like it. And somewhere or other, you must have experienced it. Let's say, for example, I did a film on documentary on band baja walas. So in front of my house, there was a temple, and all these women who are getting married, pregnant women will come for the Kua pujan, and people who are going for marrying someone, they come for Ghodi. There is some ritual is there. So a lot of people would come and they will come with a band always. So this was so much disturbing to me that all the time when I'm studying next to it, 1 day or 2 days later, I will hear these band bajawalas will coming over there. So that's how I got interested. And one day when I was looking for a subject, I said, this is brilliant. Okay. So appeal happens in a different way. Why this subject would appeal to you, not to anybody else? For example, I'm also working on a script of a novel called Aapka Bunty. It's a very simple novel. But I cried 3 places when I read it. So I said, wow, if I can add 2 more places where people would cry, 5 places I can make people cry, I'm done. So anything which is written by someone else, but if it appeals to you, it is yours. Are you getting my point? So director's statement will define a funder or someone who wanted to fund your project, why you are passionate about this project or film. Ayutthaya theory is the same thing in which you would be involved as a scriptwriter, even if you are not a scriptwriter. You are not a professional scriptwriter, but you would be a part of the script team, whether 2 people, 3 people, or 4 people. And let's say, for example, the biggest star among the screenplay writing in the world is general knowledge question. Quick.
Aaron Sorkin.
Say again.
Aaron Sorkin.
No.
Harley Kaufman.
No. There's a French writer called Jean-Claude Caillet who wrote the Peter Brook's Mahabharata. And he worked with Louis Buñuel. One of the biggest star in the world in the screenplay writing is Jean-Claude Caillet. Why I mention this man's name is he worked with the Buñuel, and Buñuel always worked with the surrealism. Surrealistic ideas, most of the ideas of the Buñuel were surrealistic. But he was always the collaborator. Okay? So what I'm saying is that it may not be your idea, but you work with other people. But he is a pure scriptwriter. He never directed anything. Okay? So there are many more people like that who never directed, but they're just the writers. They're not interested in directing in too much of headache of handling 100 people and 200 people. And some people are very happy quietly writing in their home, script writing. So the point is, as a script writer or as a director, as a script writer, I may attempt this, but as a director, until unless it appeals to me, even if it is written by someone else, I would not be able to do the justice. But Hollywood work like this. European people don't work like that. Most of them, I'm saying, not. It's a rule all over the world. And same in art house in Indian cinema also. Until unless the subject appeals to you, you will not direct the film. So coming back to writing a synopsis for a feature film is quite a job. I was listening to your thing, which assignment was given to you. Writing a documentary synopsis is very simple. It's not a big deal. But writing a synopsis for a feature film fiction is tough. Why? Because in one page, you have to tell a producer that this is what my whole film is going to be all about. Okay? So it totally differs from a story which you will pick up from any literary book. collection of short stories. We'll have a story of 2 pages, 3 pages, 4 pages, maybe 5 pages, 6 pages. But when you write 1 page for a feature film, it has to has something which will appeal to a producer, A, but at the same time, you should be able to say everything what you wanted to say into it. Okay. So I could, if I found the time till the examination, maybe we could do one exercise in which how a short story of a literary kind can be written in a form of synopsis for a feature film. Okay. Feature film means 2 hour, basically 90-minute plus, but we will not have that much of a time. Maybe we will think for a short film idea that if story of this kind, can I condense it to a short film story on of a 1 page? So what are those elements which you should avoid in a short story writing? We call it as a synopsis. First is no dialogue, zero dialogue. Okay. And many literary thing. फिर उसने सोचा, that you can't tell it in a synopsis. So many literary things, they are not bad when it is for a literature, but when it comes to film, these are the things which should be avoided. So you have certain norms, avoid this, avoid this, avoid this, avoid this, and these are the things which you are left with, which constitute your 1 page. It's a tricky game, but someday or other, all of you have to learn it. Okay. Since in the past, if you look into the video lectures which is being given to you, there are certain questions which are fixed nature, particularly for direction and screenplay writing, and 50% or 60% questions are one which are not fixed, but you have to write on the spot. So these 15 days exercises are from script part of the screenplay and dialogue, direction and screenplay course. So it is beneficial for you from that 50% point of view. And people like one, which we have for script writing, only it will be helpful because there is nothing which you can mug it up before and go there and reproduce. Okay. But in for direction and screenplay, yes, there could be certain questions. Let's say write a short note on New Wave, French New Wave, Cinema Verite, or maybe Andre Bazin. So those questions can be mugged up and reproduced. Write a short note on how to give the clap. It look very funny. Thak, somebody speaks something and goes. Okay. But there are 8 important points a director, a clapper boy should know to give a clap. So my point is that any question, but this can be perceived before. This can be perceived before. Certain kind of a thing like AI, artificial intelligence, is being talked about for last 2 years too much. So how AI is going to take over in the filmmaking, or AI would be very keyword in the future filmmaking. Write an essay of 300 words or 400 words or 500 words. So go tomorrow, take a printout of the PDF file which is loaded on the FTI website. FTI is still sleeping. They have not loaded the last year question paper. Government people, they always like that. Last year also they did not, but maybe in a week or so, someday I hope they will load. Take a printout and check the page in which there is a line, and any page write down anything. So you know in one line you can write the 8 words or 9 word or 10 word, and number of lines are there, and then according to 10 marks, how much space you are being given to write. Sometimes they define the words, sometimes they don't say the words, but you have 2.5 pages only. And if your story is long and long and long and long, you can't do the justice. So that's why this calculation of number of words is very important. If it is a 10 marks, how many words I am supposed to write? Or if it is more than that, how many number of words I'm going to write? So do that exercise tomorrow so that your calculation of the number of words according to the marks should be intact. In coming few days, we will have more, some of the previous year question paper. I will figure it out which questions are really important for both of you to be practiced, because in previous videos, those questions were practiced by other people. And when other people are practicing, you are least bothered about it. When you practice, you are bothered about it. The same stuff written by 4 people or 5 people like in today's exercise. Theme is one, but everybody is writing differently. No two people have the same story. So that gives an interest for everyone to be participant in terms of the listener. You're listening to everybody and trying to figure it out. Oh, this guy has a wonderful idea than mine. And maybe somebody else's idea is better than that second person. So this exercise will, 15 days are not really good enough, but 15 days we will do. This year, FTI has again messed up. They are brilliant in messing it up. 2 years back, they changed the program in which filter one, paper one, and paper two, they will check only for selected number of paper who has the 1:32 ratio. So MCQ has become very, very important. Now there is a particular clause which says the technical questions related to domain specific, which means, let's say, for example, script writing. There could be a question connected with your clock IE, which are the film which he has scripted. So this is a technical question for screenplay writing student and also for direction and screenplay writing student, but not for acting people. Not for acting people. So these kind of questions which are related to your specific domain, okay, whether it is Guljar in an Indian context or Sagar Saradi, there was script writer. There are many more people also to try to figure it out. Who are the script writers from Indian context? Internationally, I just told you one who is the biggest one. Other you can easily find out. And certain other questions which are directorial in nature for MCQ. I have not worked on that particular section so far, but I'm trying to figure it out, number of 100 or 200 MCQs or 300 maybe, which could be helpful for direction student. Script writing student would be tough because connected with script. Let's say, for example, who's for a script writing? Manasuri. Who is the script writer of Bimal Roy's film? Quick answer.
I'm sorry,
So
I
you are
don't know.
sleeping. So you need to wake up. You are sleeping so far, so you need to wake up. Okay? So he's a big script writer, not a small man. Writing for person like Bimal Roy cannot be a Tom, Dick, and Harry. Okay? So you need to wake up. If you will not wake up, you will fail. And if you fail, you will suffer, not me. You can curse me, but at the end of the day, it's your loss. Okay? Now, very, very difficult question which was asked many years back when I joined FTI Pune. Everybody has to answer this question. That was a MCQ part. And the question was, who wrote the script of Vimal Roy's Bandini? Okay, so this kind of tricky questions are also going to be there. Fine. So what I'm saying is, actually, this was not the question, not the Bandini, but that Dalit Kumar and Vajanti Mala Bali. What was that film? Directed by Bimal Roy, Vajanti Mala, and Dalit Kumar. Guys, you are going to FTI, quick!
Leader?
Again, because it was tricky question, I'll tell you why that film was important. Madhumati. Who wrote the script for Madhumati? It was Ritvik Ghatak. Very, very difficult question. Ritvik Ghatak wrote the script for Bimal Roy's Madhumati. So those kind of questions could be for the MCQ for those people who are script writing, and for direction also. This could be a question for direction and screenplay because you also have a screenplay writing part of it. So you really need to pull your socks up. If you do not secure the highest marks in paper 1, as per the ratio of 1:32, your paper B will not be checked. Okay? This is a crime. FTI has done it. Again, last year, they were checking both the papers. But before that, for 2 consistent years after the COVID, they were doing this nonsense. I filed a PIL as well as High Court. I went for SLP, but nothing happened. I did my job. I wanted to do it, but fighting against the government is very difficult. So imagine that this will continue this year also, though I'm trying to figure it out. But 90% chances are that it may not work, but 10% there are that court might hear. I am again filing the petition. So my point is that concentrate on technical questions related to MCQ of your domain, which is direction and script writing, particularly script writing. Okay, so this is in brief. Do send your assignment. All these excuses has no value. I am traveling, I am sick, I am doing this and that, I am working. Do whatever you want to do, fine. There are, today is third is over, fourth, 27th is exam. So how many days are there? You know it very well. Last day you can't do anything because you have to sleep, and next day do reach before time. I have seen people struggling at the gate. Oh no, sir, I was just 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late. Reach to our bloody before that time. If the time is 9 o'clock, do reach there 7 o'clock. Think like that. So that at last moment you will not be, oh, I'm stuck there, I'm stuck there, and all that excuses, nobody. I have seen people crying at the gate on the examination date. Okay, so that's the one thing. That few more thing I will discuss. This particular year, MCQ part, most of you have the website. I will be updating that section for a couple of things because Oscar and national awards and few section need to be updated. But 80% of the questions are same for every year. Only 10% need to be updated, and I will be deleting certain part from the literature part particularly because there are too many other unnecessary questions I have added. Within 1 or 2 days time, I will refine it, and by 10th, it will be really up in terms of the way it should be. But most of the rest of the question are as useful as they were last year or before that. So this is in brief. If you have a quick question, you can ask. If you don't have a quick question, it's all right. Okay, guys. So good night. For tomorrow, I'll send the assignment in the morning latest. And do write. Very important thing is, do write considering that you will have a 30-minute time in the examination. Not 2 hours you're searching and thinking and searching and thinking. Think as if you're sitting in an exam and you have a 30-minute time to write it. What you will do, so that pressure writing should happen with a limited number of minutes given to you for writing these assignments. Okay. So thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
So